Hey guys, so we're back with an episode. Welcome to the Sleepy Celestial podcast. Today we're basically going to be talking about the supernatural. Um, yeah, we have a lot to talk about. We're also gonna do like a recap of what we talked about last week. I remember we stopped at where we saw about the music industry, so we're definitely gonna pick up from there, and we're definitely gonna be talking about more things. So how is my good people doing? I hope you guys are enjoying your rest of your weekend. Like I said, today we're gonna be talking about some few things such as um the supernatural and how crazy our world really is, and it goes to show how small our world really is, compared to over the years, and how the planet itself has shaped up, and different things has been going on this planet. It goes to question and answers like, are we really, like, people always ask that question, like, are you really alone in the universe? Like, I always say, like, look, it's very simple. It's either we are or we aren't alone in the universe, right? So I would suggest that we're not the only people that are, really thinking of putting things in the universe, such as, life. Because I think life could be created anywhere, So that could be something, you know. Yeah, the chat is open, guys. So if you have any question, I could read them down below and I could just see them. Okay, so anybody's welcome to leave a question or something. Let's get this pumped up. I'm very happy that I'm back. Like I said, I posted a video about the what you call it. I posted the list and schedule of each podcast. So today you guys going to have a podcast, and then tomorrow you guys will probably have part episode 4. So episode 4, I want to do something a bit different, probably something about school, and then I'll start getting, like I said, I'm getting more things into like foundationally, so once I'm ready to like really jump out and make what I'm supposed to be working on, then I could definitely, focus on that. But yeah, guys, let me know what you guys want to talk about before I start, like what I think about, the universe and how everything comes out in different places. Sometimes it's good to sit back and just analyze how life is like very unique compared to each parts of the world, how certain things grow. That could be something that's very interesting to talk about. Yeah, so where we left off on episode, I think 4 or episode 3 of my, I would say, list. So on episode 2 of our podcast, we started talking about generational wealth and how that could be a problem dealing with not only just black people but anybody that's born in certain poverty. And oh, hey sis, what's up? So yeah, hey Anna, how you been? So yeah, join Anna. Make sure you share the live. I'm gonna be answering questions, and I'm also gonna be, we're gonna have a good time tonight. Like I said, this is a recap slash something new for tonight. So yeah, I definitely wanted to just give a good vibe because today's Friday, and it's good to like have a good little dance and something, because some people are getting off work and some people are just heading to work. So I just wanted to create something that can, lighten your mood. That could be something that's very interesting. But yeah, guys, so when I think about the music industry, that's what we were talking about before. and how things has changed over the years, such as how they make albums, how they make number one hits. That's something that not a lot of artists or celebrities that's like artists that sings talks about, because it takes a very long time for a it really takes a very long time for someone to like really plan things out and just release it. Sometimes it really takes time for things to be like really released the way it's supposed to be. you know so the fact that we're able to be in a world now that everything is now just streaming, and that it's easier to just pick up a CD or just create something that you could just take and go, compared to back in the day, whereas artists that were like very back in the day, they could have just create something and just drop it. Oh, so Anna, you said the art album are not the same. People want quick fame. Yep, exactly. I agree with you. A lot of people, they just want quick fame. Whatever that's gonna make them the money the most, they just wanna run to that and just do it. But at the end of the day, like, are you gonna be happy of what you're doing? Because a lot of people, you may be loving the success, but how long can you stay in the public image to just continue the same style or continue the same lifestyle? Yes, sometimes being the rich and famous is good, but most of these people that we see on TV are not happy. We may like their products of what they do, but at the end of the day, are they happy? You know? And that's a question that I think a lot of people should be listening to and like reviewing, like, okay, even if I like this artist, and what are they doing different? And I know they give this good therapy to like us when they create their music, but to them, like, how can this really help themselves? Because sometimes artists will write things just to be like, just for it to be like their own, I would say, therapy. Because not everyone could handle pressure or the media the same way. So like you will create like this little pocket dimension that it's like an escape route. So I know you said technology has a big part of how albums are made today. Back then you had to put in the work. Exactly. That's why when I see people are comparing like um artists back in the day versus now, some of the things that artists back in the day, if they had the technology that we had now, how much you bet their things will still be selling much bigger than before? It's because different times, and on top of that, like, people are more in the artist business, like their life and who they're dating, compared to like actually caring about the artist and like just the music. People tend to not put the music and the artist together. They tend to put it separately, and they tend to put the artist's life as the music, indicating that I want to see what the person is dating. I want to see what the person is like, this and that. But it's not helping. If you really care about your artist, I think the most number one thing that they should, you know, that should be talked about is the privacy, you know? So it's interesting. Thank you, Anna. Yeah. So, like I said, tomorrow we might be having something completely different, but like I said, it's tonight is more of a recap slash, you know, then we're gonna start getting back to like the supernaturals and stuff like that. So, but anyway, like, I always say, like, some of my favorite artists, like Michael, Beyonce, and I would say Bruno Mars is in there too. But we have Whitney, Mariah, like those artists back in the day. They knew they knew how to take risks. Like, not a lot of people could just drop something or create an album and you're gonna listen to it just because the artists sound good. Because nowadays a lot of people use auto tune. They use things to just mask their voice compared to like really listening to the actual artist's voice. Like when you hear a Whitney Houston sound or how she sings, you don't listen to like, okay, how she's gonna be singing it or how she's gonna, no, you listen to the ears. And like, let's say you just close your eyes and you listen, and you let the music sink in. We don't have music like that anymore. Everybody want to talk about trap. There is very trap music nowadays. Very. Nothing's wrong with it. It's good to have a little ratchet music here and there, but like sometimes you need something classical that's able to like ooze in your soul and just make you reflect on things. So we don't really have things like that anymore. It's few people doing the what few are like before. I remember they were talking about that. Adele, which is her new album. I suggest you guys go check it out. Adele 30, how on Spotify she gave I would say a warning or something to Spotify that instead of the viewers just skipping her songs, they have to listen to every track of the songs in order for it to like really go through to the next song, indicating that she's making you just listen to one piece of body of the work each slide instead of you skipping and then be like, okay, I like this music, let me go on to see what she has planned on next in the future. No, when somebody give you a body of work, don't just listen to it once, listen to it twice, listen to it the third time. You might get a different expression each time. Like you have artists that has something called layering. The layering means that how much depth do the character or the artist put in their music, such as like, do you think the artist is doing a good job by implementing real life things, or do you think the artist is creating a fantasy, a scenario that's putting themselves, because artists could some like visual artists could sometimes be actors too, because they're making create things that's sometimes not true, but makes you put yourself in that situation. If you understand what I mean. Like I remember when what not Billie Jean. Was it Billie Jean? Yeah, yeah, probably Billie Jean when Michael said the kid is not my son, right? That whole song part of the Jackson thing. A lot of guys, like us guys, we could relate. Like, okay, she comes to us and she said that I'm pregnant, and I'm like, are you sure? Because that kid is not my son. Right? You gotta make sure to check the skin tone and everything, right? That's how sometimes a lot of people like some small quirky jokes that sometimes happen in albums, and people would just take it and run with it, you know. So yeah, like we need to have like one of my favorite I would say rapper and artist, Childish Gambino, where I remember, I don't know if you guys saw, well, most people should see this now, but the This Is America, yeah, the This Is America video. I think a lot of people should take a time and just watch that, just watch the video and just don't say nothing. Just watch the video and you'll realize there's a lot of layer that's in the video. How they talk about how gun control, like it fits right into what the supernatural of the world, like we care more about guns and certain things than actually our safety. Things that we tend to build someday might end up destroying us, like technology. As far as we know, technology is growing at a rapid pace right now that, God forbid, we might create the first, human or stuff like that, you know. But people never ask themselves this. As we've been seeing technology evolve so damn fast, has anybody ever asked themselves, like, from 2008 all the way up to 2000 and I would say I would say 2000 and probably 2014 or so. So from 2008 all the way up to like the new decade, right? You see how the jump of from the early 2000s all the way up to now. I know sometimes people might say like it's called progress, but what if I tell you that, let's say the government always had the technology to share it with people. It's just that there's things that they might have, you never know, what they might possess, you know. So even from that, you could say that, you know, do you think there's aliens? Of course I might think there's aliens. Like There's things that you can't explain that happens on the planet that is too much of a coincidence, you know? But yeah, it's like, how would you know? You know, things happen so differently every day. But that even connects to like the Childish Gambino, you know, This Is America. It could be any country, but mostly This Is America's video basically explains like people mostly, you know, more comfortable seeing entertainment, the laughter part, than somewhere that's something serious, like gun control, like mass shooting, all those things. Sometimes it becomes supernatural because every the statistics every year that we had up till 2020, it was a mass shooting in between those years. That's how crazy it is. You know, that could be a form of supernatural because like how come there's so many of this happening all the time, but there's like no one's able to like find a way to control that issue, you know? So that could be something very serious as well, you know? So I suggest, you know, the more you know about what's going on, the better, I would say. That's the best way I could explain that because it's crazy. It's crazy to see how we have evolved so much as a species that we're able now to create, I would say, um different things from labs, and that we could able to either help or destroy, literally, literally. And you know, maybe probably like 2020, what, one or 2025 or something like that, we might see the technology even crazier because you know they're even planning on going to Mars. And that's another thing I always wanted to ask myself, and you know, you guys could leave a comment or something down below. You know how they always say like the earth is like round and all that stuff. I understand. And you even have people that's like flirt earth earth flatters that think that the earth is flat. But I always feel that the earth is like it's a half a dome, and between that half a dome, everything is like very flat in between. So instead of like having um like the whole circle, inside the circle is like a gigantic air, and then that slight crust is our ground, and the water is right there. It's like a fishing bowl. It's like a circle fishing bowl. That's how I imagine the earth, because the air is what keeps it with its dome shape. So, yeah. So it's a lot. It's a lot. I could say that you could definitely check about that information. So, yeah. Like I said, guys, um, it takes a lot to like really analyze how the world. Like you always ask yourself, like how the world is spending, and there's like, you know, even we have like all these things explaining like gravity and all that stuff. Some things scientists can't even explain what's going on this planet. Like for an example, we have global warming right now, which a lot of people are trying to deny that. But I beg to differ. Look how many different winter and all that stuff that's going on right now. And none of them were skipped too. So that's even crazier, you know? But yeah, it's crazy that we're in a position now that nothing like that could even be um added to change. Nothing's able to change. So, you know, let me know what you guys think. You know, you guys could leave some questions down below, and you know, so we could get this conversation going. Okay? So yeah, yeah. So it's a lot. It's a lot to think that for the longest, when you think of the possibility that we're alone in this universe, and we end up not being alone because of all those things that has happened over the years. And you know this, you know, I don't know if you guys know this, They even said that there are at least 5% of the ocean has been discovered, which means the other rest of the 95% we don't know nothing of. Me, I always say, like, what if, you know how they be saying like dinosaur and all that crazy stuff? I believe there's things on this planet that either God or whoever puts it there left it in charge. Each animal or each season has its terrain, right? And you could even say that each species of animals on this planet has their terrain. What makes you say whatever that's on the water, just like we are, just like we have humans on land, what makes you say we don't have things that's like a polar opposite of that? You know, there's life underneath the water too. Someone or something has to be taking care of things underwater as well. That's something that I always fascinate myself in. I always see that like all these mysterious creatures that's on this planet, either they hide themselves in a position where they cannot be seen because of all the craziness that the human race has done. It's interesting. It's interesting that there's a lot of things we don't know yet. And I feel that if we do end up knowing them, it's like we might even get scared ourselves. That's the crazy part. So that's something that I always imagine myself, imagine you as a person that saw something and you trying to, I would say, report it or do something. They won't let you do that because then again they will try to keep your mouth sealed and all that stuff. So yeah, supernatural things happen every day on this planet, and the people that end up seeing them, they might call them like crazy because like they will never expect for us to even see that being done, you know but yeah, that is some of my thoughts on like supernatural things. And like even ghosts, like that's another topic within itself. Like, how do you know where do you go when you passed away? They even said that like in some statistics or some evidence, they say like when someone passed away, it's like there's like an extra pound of weight that lift off your body. You could say that's like the soul, right? You could even say that, because we don't know what's on the other side. We could only speculate, right? Religion will say one thing, but until you die and see it yourself, you will not know. That's something that's personal between yourself as well as the creator himself. So no matter how much we might think certain things doesn't exist, doesn't mean that it doesn't exist, you know but it's amazing that we have people that's like, I always say like they could see things because we have positive energy and we have negative energy in this world. And whatever one you feed is what's gonna come to you the most. You know, I always believe in that psyche. Like you talk positivity and positivity will come towards you. But if you talk negativity, negativity will come towards you. Because I also was like, it's not a matter of good and evil. Sometimes good and evil works hand in hand to make shit happen. That's another thing people don't realize. How do you know something like I always say, even in Supernatural, how do you know something is good? Does it give you a nice something? Sometimes something that's being nice, because sometimes is like a lure. It's like luring you to let your defense down, so it could just get what it needs to get. And something that's being evil, it probably means that the thing is telling you, like, you don't need to get close because I'm dangerous. You know, like, how they be seeing, like, you have fish and you have the poisonous fish. Some poisonous fish don't even look harmful. They look harmless, and that's what makes them dangerous. So it goes to the same effect. It's very similar. It's very, very similar. But like I said, guys, I hope you guys are hopefully you guys have questions for me. I would love to hear, So, yeah. Thanks, Anna. Thanks for the great topic. So yeah, I'm very interested on what I feel the future is gonna be like, especially So this is very interesting to even be having I would say a conversation like this when you see certain things like that you normally don't see. How do you react? Like, do you see yourself, creating the energy to do that? Because there are some crazy things out there, guys. So I'm just saying, there's a lot of crazy things out there. Hold on, guys. Just give me a moment. So we're back. So yeah, like I was saying, it's really quite interesting to see certain things, be what it is, especially on this planet. Um, but time will tell. I always told people like the day aliens do decide to like show up, I would not be surprised, because there's evidence everywhere on this planet. Like you always check, like, can you imagine there's religions that's like we don't even never heard of that's on this planet before, and they're like light years apart, and the fact that they never meet, but at the same time they manage to find connections that's like different life form, different places, and some religions talks about the same thing. The only thing that's left is like, are we gonna believe that? Because if you have things that never, like religion that never meet once, but they talk about the same type of creature that they seen, the only thing that's different is like they gave a different name, right? So it's a lot. Like, I remember they started discovering like different like animal or like human bones that looks very strange. It goes to like there used to be giants, there used to be all these things on this planet. Over time, you don't know if those things deceased or they went in hiding. We don't know nothing for sure, but we know one thing though. There's things on this planet that we can't even describe. Because I think if we ever seen them, like we might just end up running, you know. But yeah, like I said, let me know what you guys wanna talk about for the next podcast. Um, like I said, this podcast for tonight, it's not gonna be this long. It might be like 50 minutes or 40 minutes, depending, whatever topic that I really wanna cover. I'm supposed to be having someone joining in a few minutes. So yeah, so so it's crazy. It's crazy that this is the level of determination that when you look at scientists and what they've been thinking of and what they've been going through you know, trying to really, come up with like an idea to like really find certain answers in life. But, not everything I think you could find, Sometimes you gotta look very hard enough to like really find what's going on around the world. But supernatural things, like I always say that some things creep me out, but at the same time, it's like it's intriguing because it's like, what if you do find, like, for an example, a mermaid? Like, how would this thing react to you? Like, does it speak the same language, or does it react the same way that normally humans do? Like, it's crazy. So, yeah. So that's something. I'm looking at the chat, but I'm also looking at some questions. I'm probably gonna put down to see what questions everybody might ask for the upcoming videos. Like I say, I'm for this episode and previous two episodes, I'm just settling things in. Like I said, probably be by next week the format of this will change. Like I told you guys before, you will probably get a clearer camera as well as a different mic, because I'm still updating all those things. But still wanted to give you guys something tonight. So yeah. So Anna, you don't have any questions? But yeah. Yeah, so if anybody has any questions, let me know. And like I said, we will definitely go back and, you know, create more things. Like I said, once I start getting a solid piece of like certain questions that I really want to answer, and on top of that, we will go back on talking about like supernatural things, but this time we'll probably with some you know some previous tendons, such as um I'll probably add people and have other people come in and talk about like their experiences. What did they think about certain things about supernatural things. We might revisit this question and topic in the future and just like have that extra person to like just talk about that. But yeah, other than that, I think we may end things a bit early. Um but it depending whatever thing that you guys will want to talk about, I'm interested. um but if not, then we're gonna probably cut things short for episode 3 and then come back stronger for the episode 4. And but yeah, I wanted to just finish talking about things for the previous episode about the music industry. So I think I covered certain things pretty well. um but yeah, if you guys always have like other ideas in the future for the podcast, we could definitely you know ask questions about that. And if any questions that you might have, or something that you feel like you would love to bring up in the future, that could be interesting as well. Like I said, I'm always up and open to new opportunities, such as different ways that I would expect myself to be like doing the podcast. And what questions that would be interested that you guys might want to add. you know like I would say, my ears and eyes are open to anything that I could be answering in. So yeah. But yeah, I might do one day for like a I guess yeah, I'm gonna bring my sister back to the podcast because it's kind of lonely up here. Thanks, Rudy. So yeah, yeah. So yeah, my I'm definitely might bring my sister for the next podcast. Um, like I said, today it might be a bit shorter, and I might do something else differently, probably for the upcoming episode 4 and 5. Like I said, once I get more settled, then it's gonna be different. But until then, I'm still gonna try to see if I could bring you guys content. I think the next episode I really want to do something about school, like I think school wise, and that way we could get more information of, like, let's say for if you're a high school kid that's joining and you want to talk about certain things. I have a few people that I might want to join the podcast, and we might just have that talk, so that way they could give you guys the insight of what you need to do to, like, be ready for, like, school. You don't want to put yourself in a situation where you can't really do certain things, and because of certain boundaries you know but yeah, we definitely might do something like that, probably episode 3 or 5. So yeah, yeah, school would be a good topic. Yeah, and then we might even talk about animation stuff, such as probably in the episode 5, because by next week I should be getting everything that I you know ready for. So yeah, but yeah, thanks for the I guess the response, because that would be something I'm planning on doing. So so if I were to think about that, that would be interesting. You're right. Um, but what do you think besides the school thing? What do you think I might go for? I mean, what other topics that you think I should, get? That would be interesting. Besides the schooling, I could talk about certain major things too, if that's something that you guys might be interested in. I might do something to talk about, different things about, like, the major that I did, which was in architecture, and what's the difference between a 2 year and going to a 4 year, how it's gonna be like. We might do a small little series about the life of architect or architect student. you know so yeah, we might do something like that in the future. um but yeah, guys, today is gonna be a shorter podcast because besides the topic that I finished talking about, and he said yes, 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 that I would love that. Yeah, I agree. I would love to do something like that, so that way it would be easier to, like, maneuver information, such as, like, how to present, how to do this, how to do that. So I'll probably talk that about that on episode 5 of the podcast. You know, depending on what major you do, like if your major requires creativity and arts, like I will definitely start talking about how do you get set up, and like those are the number one things that you need to do when you're doing this type of field and that type of field. So yeah, I think that would be interesting. I'm planning to see if I could add like a guest for the episode 4. No, probably episode 5, because tomorrow will be episode 4, and I'm planning to see what I could do for episode 4. But probably episode 5 and 6, I'm definitely gonna see if I could add someone. to come in to like definitely talk about. Yeah, thank you, Rudy. Your major is interesting. Yep, yep, yep. I'll definitely put that in my repertoire about things that I really want to add and talk about. But yeah, I really want to talk about like the whole applying for school and how to get certain information. I will even like I would say upload a video of I would say me doing like a financial aid and stuff so that way it could help some students if they're going to any schools. And I'll probably do a video that talks about why you should start in the 2 year school and what will be your benefit, you know, compared to like starting straight up to like a 4 year school. You know, if you don't have the credentials nor the money and it's your parents that's paying for that, don't just quickly go to a 4 year school because, okay, so what I'm gonna do right now, I'm gonna connect this episode to the next episode so that way I got more time to cover for tonight since I covered the other things I wanted to talk about. But yeah, I feel as if that should be something that we should definitely talk about. Like, what stops certain students from going to a 2 year? Like, is it because the name of the 2 year and the reputation of the 2 year? Because a lot of people like nice things, but to get those nice things or to be at the level where you want to be in that school, they require a lot out of you. So you can't just jump the boat and just go to a 4 year. If you have the grades for it and you're able to manage yourself around, I commend you for that. But for people that are coming in, excuse me. So the people that are coming in as, let's say, freshmen straight out of high school and coming into like a university or a college, you will see that the social things that's in, I would say, in college is way different compared to how when you at a high school. Even if people do joke around in college and stuff, they still manage to like stay focused because at the end of the day, the goal is everybody's trying to graduate. you know it's good to have people that's your friends, but sometimes I feel as if as you get into like your major or like certain things, surround yourself with people that has the same mindset and major as you. That will grow you as the person that you want to be, and that will also grow your opportunity because if you grow with the same people and those people has been doing the same design and the same thing that you're running for, eventually when you go to like the 4 year and you meet those people again, or let's say those people have finished before you and they end up working, that person might remember you and be like, I remember your work and I remember what you used to do. That's your dream jobs right there. Connection is what makes, I would say, the world works and what makes opportunity. Like for today, like I was literally talking to one of my superiors, and he asked me, what do you think about this? Have you started planning to like go back to school yet? And I'm like, okay, I got a year left. I'm gonna make the best of it. Besides giving podcasts to you guys, I am still in school. Like I said, still majoring in architecture, so I'll be going for my bachelor. But at the same time, I tell people, I'm like, you have to have a real plan to like go to your 4 year, have everything ready. Don't just jump into something because like you're not gonna be, no. Even if you're not going to school, like say people that hasn't gone to school and be starting next year, still do some of your practice, brush on your some of your skill. Like that's what I did. I brushed on some of my skills just to stay polished. You know how you have to clean, let's say, your metal case or jewelry, you have to keep it polished. It's the same way as your skill. Like if you become a bit rusty, then it's gonna be harder for you to like really get back into the groove of the game. Like really. So that's why I suggest, like, if you have free time, give yourself some work. Like do some projects here and there. Find out some information that's going on. You never know what might help you in the future, you know? Like, and that's another thing. Just because you pick the major that you want does not mean where life is gonna put you might not be the same. But it may have the same quantity or the difference. But some tend to believe things never go certain ways unless you like really, really go after what you want. You know, because it's easier to get lost and like to things that you can't do, but it's harder to find something that you could do but you're not putting the energy nor the potential to do it, you know. So yeah, guys, I definitely will be talking about that in the next episode, which is majoring your field and why is it important for students to start at a certain point when they go to like college. Because even if you fail in a 2 year, you could still able to like take classes and finish them. But in 4 year, they give you a certain amount. Like if you do this, you have 3 strikes or this amount. If you can't meet that requirement, they send you back or they tell you to fix this, because if you can't fix that, then you don't belong there. That's literally how their attitude be. Like you have to really, really be focused. But see, that's another thing. I'm not telling people to stay so focused that you lose your sense of, I would say, your life, like social life. You could still balance those things out. It's just that when you start getting closer to your majors, I feel as if you should not have any, I would say, faults, because you should be able to understand your pros and cons. Like, okay, I need to study at this time, I need to do work at this time. Once I get them done, then I can relax. Always trying to put your eggs in one basket and weigh your pros and cons. Like, if I don't do this work now, I'm gonna have to worry about it or bitch about it later. So trying to do your best as you can to weigh your options. Sometimes you have a deadline. I always tell people, when you have like a project deadline, because I remember when I used to be in class and studio class, you had a project deadline. And if you don't meet that deadline, when it's time for like pinups and putting things on the wall, the professor's gonna just be looking at you like, okay, what have you done within this week? And now you have the week after and you haven't come with anything. If you're doing desk crits where the professor comes to you and just look at what you've been working on singly, so the professor will go to each person's table and basically look at like what you have done, like what things that are working based on your concept. And if that doesn't work, then it's like the professor's like, what have you been doing besides the first model you showed me before? Why things are not changing the way they should? Like, it's a lot that goes into certain fields. That's why I say, like, you have to learn and you have to love what you do. If you're really passionate what you want to do, then you're in the right position. But if you feel or you hesitant to step out into like to take challenge, because life, if you look upon all the people that has like that are rich, all those people had to take risks in order for them to be where they are, right? So the best option I tell people is like, because we're in 2022 and because how the world is right now, sometimes you must take a risk on yourself. And that risk is like you have to gamble your sacrifices in order to be greater. You will thank your old self when you be at the very top where you need to be and you're able to like take care of things that you were supposed to. That's what I always say. Like, have the ability to be strong, but at the same time be passionate. Yes, agree, Rudy. Passionate is key. And the heart, and just because, and that's another thing, just because you're talented does not mean someone can't come in and knock you out the park and take your position, because that person wants it just as bad. Just as bad. Like, I told you guys that a couple of minutes ago that one of my bosses told me that straight up. He was like, "You have the talent. You gotta stop being scared." And I'm like, I had to smack myself into sense. I'm like, I know who I am. Like, what is I'm afraid of? So now I'm gonna push, and even if it like really gets difficult in the long, I know that I made the choice that I wanted, because life is not about the easy ones. It's about the hard ones. So I'm placing a bet on myself that in the long run I could thank myself for doing that, you know? So that's the same message I give to you guys as well. Like, take a bet on yourself and see what happens. And bet on God too, because God will help you anyway. So, but always know that you're not alone when you're doing something. Always know that um it's easier to get lost or get caught up on things that you couldn't do. I remember there's a quote that I was looking at on like social media, and how I remember who was saying that. I think it was Keanu Reeves, or I forgot which other celebrity. They said, like, when you're on your deathbed, you have all these different ideas that's sitting or surrounding you, and those ideas are basically begging you to, like, really bring them into fruition. But because you're dying, you basically didn't fulfill those opportunities. So that is a very powerful quote. So it goes to show that, like, learn as much as you can and don't be afraid to make mistakes. Like, I even said that to myself today. Like, I think the main reason I was struggling to make a decision to which school I was going to is, like, I don't want to be mistaken, or I don't want to make mistakes that's going to haunt me. But, sometimes you need to hunt yourself in order for you to be where you are. Yeah, betting on yourself and God, keep that. Yeah, appreciate it. Appreciate it. But yeah, I always say that, like, life is a gamble. Life is a gamble. Like, I remember my boss even told me that today. He was like, "Do you know how many times that I have failed, and, like, people told me I couldn't do this and that?" And I listened what he was saying, because when somebody's telling you something, it kind of hits home. Like, people used to tell me, "No, how you gonna do this? Like, this field is very dangerous." So I decided to, like, bet on myself, and look where I am now. Like, everything I took from 2020 all the way up to now, I have learned and built upon it. I said I wanted to start a podcast. I did that. Said I wanted to start thinking about how I want to do certain things in the future. That's coming up too. Like, everything that I wanted, I pray on it, and then look. Look, I tell people, if you don't believe the power of prayer or anything that you believe in, you pray to, it's gonna come to you. As long as you're doing something, I always said nothing could go wrong when you're doing something positively, and that shows. Based on me talking to it shows. Like, I planned this. If I could tell it, I planned this podcasting since 20, I think 2017, and we're in the what 2022 now. So can you just imagine what I have been really putting together, like the amount of years, and I never focused on it. I'm like, okay, when I have the time, thankfully, and kind of like curse, truth and a curse at the same time, I managed to, like, find the right time to do a podcast, and at the same time, my subscribers, the people that follows me, they able to see what I've been working on. And that's another thing. I wanted to put more of my work out there, because that's another thing, like creating a website, creating certain things that in the long run, when I do decide to create like a firm or something that's gonna benefit a lot of people I know, I'm able to go back and watch all these episodes and be like, this is how I started. Like, anybody could do that. Anybody could start a journey if you stay consistent. Consistency is my name. I always tell people this. Consistency is my last name, literally, because I don't know how to give up. Like, I don't know how to give up, and I'm trying to give that same energy to you guys. Like, especially for this year, like, learn how to be more agile. Learn how to forgive yourself to learn something that's gonna help you in the future. It's never too late. Your age has nothing to do with you being late. It don't. I always say, like, I spoke to two people I know. One of them, I think she's in her 60s and she's going for her bachelor's now. You know, and I think that's amazing. When I be hearing those stories, I'm like, do you understand that's inspirational? Because people at her age will be like, I'm 60. I don't need to be doing this. No, it's because it's something that she wants and she's something that she's trying to prove to herself. Can I still do this? Can I still continue? Is you could still have I always say this. Everybody in my eyes are athletes. You have people that are pushing night day and night for work to provide for their families. You have friends that are protecting friends from harm. You have families that are going up and down just to make sacrifices for that one person. Everybody's an athlete because everybody's getting up to be driven to do something. Some more better athlete than others. So I always tell people, like, this is how I carry my energy. Like, if you're not gonna put energy in what you do, you might as well just don't do it at all. That's just what I believe. Um, but like I said, guys, tomorrow will be I guess an close to an hour and a half of podcast because there's a lot of things I want to cover for like for school and definitely about how to put things together, such as how to get certain classes done, how do you know to be ready for graduate. I want to give that whole, I would say, talk because I really want people to understand that this podcast is not just for me, it's for you guys. Like, if you have questions and things that I may not know, you guys could help me in it. This is a learning experience podcast. You're gonna teach me, I'm gonna teach you things. That's literally what it is, because I really want this to be a stepping stone for a lot of people. Like, why can't we grow certain things a certain way? So yeah, I really want this to be a factor for future projects that I might do in the future. And I'm like, once my camera things gets here, I will be changing, like I said, changing the format. And I really think I'm gonna bring like my parents, probably in the 20th episode, bring my parents up there, and we might do like a 6 or 7 episode part of the podcast dedicated to like the country of Haiti and how Haiti is now and Haiti is like back then, and what how things used to cost compared to how expensive things are now. There's a lot that I'm gonna be sharing with you guys. You know, because like I always tell people, like, the media doesn't tell you everything. Like, sometimes the media could say like, "Oh, this person's a liar." How do you know that person's a liar? And eventually, rumors, people will run with it. They will run with it knowing that it's not true, but they will make it true. So, but like I said, guys, I hope you guys enjoy the little time we had. The good thing is I made it close to like an hour. So this is pretty crazy. So yeah, let me know what you guys think. Are you guys excited for what I might do for episode 4? I might do it for episode 4 and 5, but or I might just do it for episode 4 and just talk about how to be really properly ready for school. What steps that certain parents need to take while their kids are still young. Um, yeah, I want to talk about all those things. Like, what are the proper steps that some parents could like literally take for like when their kids get to like a college level or high school level, like, so that way they should not struggle. Because that's the problem, I think, not only black people but Hispanic people, all the minority people, is that Sometimes the problem could be that they live in certain neighborhoods and the access to get certain things is not the same. And it's like, why can't we bring that into this facility? Like, it's all these things. Like, I even, there was a question I asked myself. I remember when I was joining the track club that I was in now. I asked myself, I'm like, when I look on all those track club applications, New Jersey don't even have a track club that's like close by. Like, even in Newark, they don't have one that's like close by for like older athletes, like people that's like around 20, 21, 22, close to 30. Like, we don't have people that's like training like athletes or creating track clubs. If we create track clubs and create like different like facilities, that way it could help, certain kids perform, and they could even get like small scholarship from them. That's something I would love to do, like even in the future, where create like an actual scholarship for track athlete. Because that's another thing I want to talk about probably in future episode. You know that from what I have learned, track athletes, especially like when it comes to getting scholarship, if you're not like top of the nation or best of the best, it's hard to get scholarship as an athlete. You have to be an all-around athlete as well. You have to be able to be versatile when it comes to certain events. If you can't do this thing, because the versatile part means, when you go to like certain track meets and they tell you to run certain events, it's because those events gets you certain points. So when you get to like nationals or international or world, championships and stuff, those points could be used for the country's total. So that way it's like the country is the favorite to win this. The country, like even at the Olympics, they use the same concept. Like, the amount of medal tallies shows how much powerful the country is. Like, the US is the biggest medal tally of all time, right? And they get so much. And when you look at sprint nations like Jamaica and the other sprinter nations, you realize that it's very similar as well. So yeah. But like I said, guys, that is all for tonight. Like I said, tomorrow we'll be back for episode 4. For episode 4 is basically starting up school from, I would say, from age kindergarten all the way up to college, and what are the steps that we need to take as parents or as any legal guardians, how we could help the children grow, and even as a school, like how can we make things fun? Because right now, even kids that are telling me things now is like nothing is fun anymore, especially for school. Nobody don't even want to stay in school. I remember I was registering a student. He was like, listen, the only reason why he's there is because he knows how the street is and he don't want to be caught up in that. But other than that, if he could do a trade school, something he could be good at, which he told me he's good at mechanic, and he just wanted to fix cars and get good money. Like, he don't really want to go to the whole hardship of getting a degree and all that stuff. Because even people that already have the degree, it's like some of us are sitting down right now due to the pandemic, and some of us are working. So it's like life always tosses you a side ball, and you're just gonna have to deal with it, you know. But like I said, guys, this was episode 3 of the podcast. If you missed it, you could always rewatch it. It's on my channel. Like I said, you guys could always like and subscribe to the channel. It's always a pleasure. Oh, wait, hold on. True. Now don't That's true. Now people don't want to stay in school. Why is that, really? Yeah, I said that many times. Like, the reason why a lot of people don't want to stay in school, like I said before, is like the pandemic has opened a lot of people's eyes. Is like there's different ways of learning, like remote learning, like the skills that they send the kids out to do, especially in school. doesn't set them up to survive in the real world. The only thing that the schools is allowing the kids to do is to behave. But in certain situation, the system can only do so much that you have to break the rules to get what you need to get. Like literally. Like I have seen kids that they did their entire schooling, but to find a proper job that's in their field is so hard. So they had to switch it and relearn everything that they need to learn, which is very messed up. It's very messed up. So yeah, that is a very good question. Cause that's another. How do you know what the kid is good at? Because that's the question that I remember in my very first episode of the podcast. I said, like, some parents already determine what the kid is gonna be without them even asking the kids first, like, are you good with this? Like, yeah, I understand you're the parent and the kid haven't had the consent yet to do what they want. But if you're already picking for them and you're already telling, okay, this is what you're gonna be because I already see it for you. Well, if you could see your kid's future, you should have been seeing your own as well. That's just my belief. Like some parents, I understand the situation they're coming from when it comes to like, especially if you're a foreign parent, you came to the US, you have to do everything to sacrifice for your kids. But at the same time, you have foreign parents that to show their kids that they're not just gonna sit on their ass. They actually go to school with them and they went to get their degree as well. One of my favorite friend that works with me, I think I'm gonna probably bring him in future of the podcast. You know, yeah, yeah, that do make sense. Thank you. So one of my favorite friend that I want to bring to the podcast, which is his name is Roy Hart, and he is such an amazing person. I mean, he is such an inspirational person. Like if he tells you something, is because he could see it in a long run. And I always have those conversations with him and he always give me good feedback. Like I always say something, don't be afraid to like, have critiques. If I might be doing something wrong, he might correct me and then steer me to the right direction. This is and he always told me like as a parent and as a student himself, he understands when a student say they're tired or they can't do this because life is complicated already. So the fact that you're putting more work, all these things on top of each other, how you think that's gonna make the person feel? Now you're constraining the person and making them do work, 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 work. Eventually, the person's not gonna feel like working anymore. Sometimes you have to create an environment that not only benefit the teaching what you're trying to make the person learn and how to make the person learn it without pressuring them to learn it. And that's the thing where a lot of schools get cut up. It's like you have to learn this or else you fail or you're gonna be just like this. If you start telling people like it's like a mandate, then nobody's gonna take school seriously anymore. Because as you could see, a lot of people started doing their own business. Like they're not really worried about what the government or what's going on. Like they're really creating their own business. People are learning how to be creative again. That's the only thing I think that I love. A lot of people are getting up and being creative. Cause we missed that for I missed that a long time ago. Cause being creative back in the day was good. Being creative now is needed because a lot of people copy on too many people. There's always a trend. There's always something going on that a lot of people are copying, and people cannot find a way to originality. And I think that's a problem that if we get caught up on copying, we might lose our own sense of humanity sometimes. Like people will not know who they are because they fitting into someone else's world compared to theirs. Like it's crazy. So, yeah, but let me know what you guys think. Like I said, I am gonna be making more of a list of who I'm gonna be presenting in each podcast, and this might be fun. This might be very fun. I can't wait to like have like that whole interaction And it's gonna be interesting, guys. I hope you guys like the extended podcast tonight. I didn't expect to be having good conversation, but I appreciate the talk. It's good to have things starting, because like I always tell people, I'm like a car. I need a little bit of ignition to like really start getting like to talk about what I need to talk about. But like I said, I appreciate um Anna, my sister, for joining, as well as one of my closest friend, Rudy, for showing up. So thank you guys for tonight's podcast. Um I think I got a lot of things through, and I already covered what I need to cover for the next one that's going to be coming up soon. Um yeah, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good because I really want you guys to be invested, and that's another thing I want to do. Like, I want to bring another person to talk about like investment, and like why is it important to like invest things early, and like life insurance, all these important things that we should be starting at a young age, because I believe nobody's a kid anymore. Like nobody's a kid anymore, and it's better to start teaching your kid. Yeah, your kid. It's better to teach them at a young age so that they could know everything that they need to know to survive. Because you have parents that don't even leave anything for their kids, and the kid has to now work hard to build things that their parents never built. Okay. So, yeah. So at that point, I'm speaking from a real experience of that. So I would say I'm a proof of like working hard to build things that your parents never built before. But like I said, guys, thank you so much for joining, and thank you, Rudy, as well. um yeah, we have a long way to go. The year's 365, so there's gonna be more podcast things coming up, and I still have projects that I'm gonna be working on. Um but yeah, guys, thank you so much. I appreciate the conversation. Thank you for helping me start the conversation in the first place. But yeah, sometimes it's good to share things and to, like, I would say, dilute things out your mind and let people think, what do they think about this and that. My job is to help you guys think and do things differently. That's literally what the podcast message is. But thank you guys. I appreciate it. And I'll see you guys next time. And I am signing out. And this is Celestial Podcast. You have a sleepy one.